The FCS College Football Experience Week 4 reaction show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Game Time. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use the promo code CFBX on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Game Time app. Use that promo code CFBX. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, play the underdog pick'em in college or NFL and win up to 20 times the amount of money you can enter in one game. All right. Plus, every Sunday they're giving away $100K. What? Insane. I mean, come on, you got to check that out. So use the promo code SGPN and Underdog Fantasy for 100% deposit bonus up to $500. We're also brought to you by VSiN. Sign up now and save 40% off with their football season special when you use the promo code SGP. VSiN.com/subscribe. Promo code SGP. And finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com and use the promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Hey folks, this is Bud Foster. You're listening to SGPN. Let's let it ride.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the FCS College Football Experience Week 4 reaction show. Oh, I know I'm a day late. Here. We normally like to do it on Mondays, but I was traveling back from Laramie. I went up there to catch some Wyoming football as Appalachian State. An old FCS powerhouse. Appalachian State took the road to Laramie, and that was an awesome experience as that was great college football. I know not an FCS game, but still we have a lot to talk about, and you're probably wondering just who the hell you're listening to. Well, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
He's the kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You could drop this guy off at the Arctic Circle wearing a pair of bikini underwear without his toothbrush, and tomorrow afternoon he's going to show up at your poolside with $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos.
Different clip, but yes, I will show up by your poolside with the $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos, especially when I'm betting on the FCS. Folks, you can watch this on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience. Subscribe wherever podcasts are found, sg.pn/FCS. Let's go. And I am joined by my co-host, the Gulf Coast Guru. He's down there in the Gulf of Mexico, swimming laps around you fools. All right, betting FCS. Give it up for Mike Rose, aka the Gulf Coast Guru. How you doing, brother?
Brother, I should have kayaked out to the middle of the Gulf when I chose to watch Notre Dame instead of watching some of the FCS slate that we had that night, man. Because I knew it was coming. I grew up.
He's an Irish fan. Look, you got to count you got to count the amount of players you have on the field. I mean, FCS, D2, D3, high school. You know, it's kind of an important.
Out of fingers, man.
Yeah,
what are you supposed to do?
Come on.
Yeah, go to toes.
Yeah, I mean that was a really bad look for Marcus Freeman there. Look, if you want more on that, folks, check out the FBS College Football Experience, because I mean, me and CJ Sullivan just did a deep dive on what the hell happened in South Bend, Indiana. But look, we love all football here. We talk. I mean, shit. I need to do a D2, D3 college experience, but FCS wise, a wild week. I broke this down by conference by conference, created a sheet. because we're starting to get into conference play, and conference races will be so important as far as at-large bids with a real. Remember, unlike the FBS, we have a real playoff in the FCS. I think we just dive right into it. I mean, I'm going to start with what I think is the best conference this year, and that is the Big Sky Conference. I know Missouri Valley, Big Sky. You can argue those two, but the amount. First off, the Missouri Valley didn't have a lot of marquee matchups, a lot of bye weeks for the MVC. But the Big Sky, whoo! Oh wow! I mean, Montana State. I could not believe this outcome here. Montana State heads to what is it? Ogden, Utah. Is that what it is? I think that's Ogden, Utah. That Weber State is located, and Montana State wins 40-0. Look, Weber State is a good program. If it wasn't for last year's 3 punts that were snapped over the punter's head, they probably would have won at Montana State. This is a team that beat Utah State by like 28 points a year ago. They already won at Northern Iowa in the Missouri Valley, 40-0 on the road. I mean, hosting Montana State. I actually thought Weber State could potentially be live. I mean, I picked Montana State, but I mean, you dive into the numbers here, and first off, just 208 yards of offense for Weber State, and Montana State just, even if you're the biggest Montana State fan in the world, I don't think you saw this outcome happening. 40-0, dominating performance. They didn't even need I mean, Sean Chambers was 8 of 17, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. They only threw the ball 17 times because the run game was insane. Julius Davis, 14 rushes, 132 yards, 9.4 yards a rush. Chambers had another like 86 on the ground. And even Jared White getting into the mix there with 13 for 69. I mean, this was just a true ass whooping. What is going on with Weber State? I don't know, but they couldn't establish a lot of scrimmage on either side of the ball. What do you make of this one, man?
Yeah, I mean, if when we were breaking these teams down in the preseason, if he'd have told me that this was going to be the outcome, I would have kind of been on board. I mean, Montana State bringing a lot back, Weber, a lot of change. So I wasn't sure what to think of them. But after seeing a few weeks of Weber, I bought in. And yeah, I took the -3 with you. But I thought it was going to be a game. And I definitely wasn't block worthy for me. But man, oh man, Montana State's looking more and more real every week.
Yes. And at the same time, their rivals, Brawl of the Wild, one of the best rivalries in college football, FBS, FCS, doesn't matter. The Montana Grizzlies head down to Flagstaff, Arizona, to take on a winless Northern Arizona team. And they lose 28-14. And even with that, I felt like NAU just whooped their ass. This was a shock. So, I mean, man, Northern Arizona is in a situation where they've looked terrible so far this year. You know, whether it was, I know they played Arizona and Utah, Arizona and North Dakota are good schools, but Utah Tech dropped 50 on them in Flagstaff at that walk-up Skydome bullshit they have, right? And what? Montana? They beat Montana by 2 scores, and it could have been 3 scores. Like they dominated this game. Oh man, I did not see this happening. So they have new life now. I know Bobby Hawk said in the post game that he didn't expect the freshman quarterback Adam DeMonte to get the start. Adam DeMonte ended up going 23 of 30, 210 yards, a touchdown, but 2 picks. I don't give a shit what your excuse is. Bobby Hawk, obviously, you know, he's second run in Missoula. He's been very successful. Beat Washington at Washington a couple years ago. You know, won an FCS national championship his first stint in Missoula. But whoa, that's a pretty bad loss for the Grizz there. What do you make of this? And moving forward, should we Does this affect, like, I know we're just getting into conference play, but I'm starting to think after watching some other schools in this conference, Montana's pretty far down. What do you think?
No, I agree. I mean, we've been kind of talking about it each week that they're not convincing us, they're not selling us. And I mean, I can't remember which way you went. I know I took the points in this game, even with as bad as NAU's been, because I said Montana, they're not selling me on what they have going on. And I feel like this game, while it is, I mean, it is, you know, a little rivalry matchup. I forget, I'm missing the name right now. I can't think of it. But while it is a rivalry and NAU, you know, maybe a dome isn't the best place for a team like Montana that loves to run and maybe doesn't air it out really. But they're disappointing week in and week out. I'm not really shocked that NAU beat them, to be honest. It seemed like the way Montana's trending.
Yeah, I mean, I was very shocked at that outcome. I think I might have took the points for the cover, but you told me they're gonna. I mean, Northern Arizona never trailed in this game. This was a dominating performance. This wasn't like, you know, it was 14-7. Montana was up and NAU just got hot. No, they got their ass whooped. Shocking. And how about this? NAU is not known to be a physical team. Montana only had 31 yards on the ground.
That's rough.
That's what I'm saying. Like
shocking stat.
I am concerned about that. And then when you look around the Big Sky, awesome games last weekend. If you got ESPN Plus, they're all there for you. You can watch them on demand. You have Idaho, Sac State, which this is a deceiving score, folks. Very deceiving score. I don't know if you guys saw this game, but so Idaho kicks a game-winning field goal with like 2 seconds left to go up 29-27. Sac State had a 27-26 lead. I think it's either 2 or 1 seconds left on the clock. They kick the ball off. Sac State is doing the pitch, pitching the ball, trying to get to the end zone, and it gets like essentially intercepted by Idaho, and they score a touchdown on it. So the score is completely deceiving on how close this game was. But the Vandals get the win, and Sac State's first loss in the regular season in quite some time. And the Vandals, I know we were on the Vandals, but I am of the opinion after watching this game, both these teams are a lot better than Montana.
Oh, definitely. And Idaho, this is what I was really hoping from them. I was hoping to see them really come up this year and be a real playoff threat. I really think they could. I mean, if you stack up what Idaho's done so far this year, and not to take anything away from Sac State, because they've looked a lot better than I thought they might too after losing
Me too. Yeah.
But I mean, I think they look as good as a lot of your G5 teams, if not better than a lot of them, to be honest. So good start to the season for the Vandals.
I agree. And I believe we have quite the game. I think this week, Sac State's hosting Northern Arizona. We'll see if Northern Arizona, did they find something and find their identity and who they are? Or is that a 1-game wonder? So that's a big game going on in the Big Sky. And then Idaho is on the red turf taking on E-Dub. And let's talk about E-Dub, because you want to talk about a surprise team. I thought they'd be better this year. I know historically Eastern Washington has been like a blue blood. Like I said, I caught them years ago at Montana. It was like a top 10 matchup. Awesome. But I know Cooper Kupp, you can go Eric Barriere, you can go on and on and on about the great players that they've had there and the great system, but they had a setback year last year, and they went to the portal this past year and tried to bring in a bunch of defensive talent, because it was really the defensive side of the ball a year ago that gave them issues. But you look at their schedule, and okay, they lost by 25 pretty much at North Dakota State. I know it was in Minneapolis, but that's a North Dakota State crowd. And then they lose in overtime to Fresno State, who's looking fucking phenomenal, might I add, in the FBS. They're ranked. Then they beat Southeast Louisiana, and then they go to Davis, California, and beat Dan Hawkins and company 27-24. I am buying in to Eastern Washington being a real contender in this guy. Now, I know Montana State looks like the team that's just far above anybody, but I don't know. I mean, you look at what they've been doing. That's a tough schedule that Eastern Washington has. A really tough schedule. I think you can argue it is one of the toughest in the Big Sky. I'm impressed with that win on the road. I'm impressed with Kikoa Vesper. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I fuck it up every time. Anyway, I'm buying in though to what they're doing. I think they're a lot better on the defensive side of the ball. You can see that by just holding Davis to 24 points a year ago. I feel like this would have been 50. So even though you see what our boy did, Lan Larison, the running back for UC Davis, 22 rushes, 255 yards, and they lose. How is that possible?
Oh, he wasn't. Was he a factor in the pass game this week again?
Yes, I think he did have a couple catches, 2 for 8. But holy shit! I mean, putting up monster numbers. But that's a huge win for EW. I still think UC Davis is a team that I would have ranked better than Montana as well right now. You?
Oh, definitely. Both these teams by far above Montana right now. And what I love about EW, I mean, you talked about the red turf, and that's kind of what they're notorious. It's they're a home team warrior, but this win on the road is a statement to me. I had these two teams. I had UC Davis. I remember projected one spot above EW, but I think EW might be climbing up closer to the top of that conference. Really impressive so far, and it's good because I love this team. Like you said, blue blood. Love when they're good.
Yeah, that's a big time win. And there's a couple other Big Sky games I want to get to, but before we do that, I want to tell you that the FCS College Football Experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by the Game Time app. Yes, buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be that stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater that is near you. And with killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun that you'll be having at that very event. And look, they have the Game Time guarantee, which means you'll always get the best price. In fact, if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, create that account, use that promo code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, create that account, CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy is a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. You can win up to 20 times the amount of money you enter in a single game by going 5 for 5. And look, from now until October 4th, Underdog is matching 100% of the first deposits up to $500. Yes. Oh, did I mention also they're giving away $100,000 on Sundays every Sunday? Unbelievable. Look, they got $2 million in prizes up in all season long contests. They got $100K going in prizes each and every week. They also give out $10K to 10 random people each week. New sweepstakes every week of the NFL season. I can tell you right now, NFL, college, whatever you got. I'm taking Sam Houston State, former FCS team, against Jacksonville State this weekend. I think it's gonna be a fun matchup this Thursday. I mean, so watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little extra cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. Once again, that's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. All right, we are back on the FCS College Football Experience, and wow, I mean, first, so you look at those rankings in conference right now, and I think it's like, well, you got Weber State 0-1, UC Davis 0-1, Sac State 0-1, Montana 0-1, and then you look at who's winning. I mean, some of the other ones, some of the other outcomes there. Pretty shocking as well. I shouldn't say like not as shocking as the previous ones, but still shocking, I would say. Let's talk a little bit about Cody Hawkins grabbing his first ever win, the son of Dan Hawkins. First win as a head coach as they take down Northern Colorado, and I got a chance to stop at the Northern Colorado campus, check out old what is it? Is it Nottingham Field, I believe. 35-21, they get it done. And look, this is something to build on. Your first win. They didn't have a lot of wins last season. So you gotta say, hey, this is very encouraging. I mean, they're 1-0 in conference right now. It's a brand new season in conference. Jordan Cook doing a good job at the quarterback spot for them. Ground game still wasn't amazing, but the passing game Christian Fredrickson with the big day, 108 yards receiving against the Bears of Northern Colorado, who are now 0-4. And tough times right now up there in Greeley, Colorado. But shout out to Cody Hawkins for getting that dub. I still don't think they're going to be contenders this year, but hey, a little bit ahead of schedule, maybe, right?
Yeah, I think something to definitely take from this game. These are two teams that are clearly at the bottom of this conference, but Idaho State's been playing with a little fire this year, and we haven't seen that out of Northern Colorado. So shout out to Cody Hawk for getting it going, because Idaho State looks like they have some life, and that's what that win says to me, is that team's feeling themselves, even though the record isn't showing it. So I'm good with it. Yeah,
and let's talk about another one here. So last week, Portland State beat North America 91-0. And I don't know what clicked during that game, but what if I told you they had 52 points at halftime against Cal Poly? I repeat. And if Cal Poly doesn't score in the first quarter, they would have scored 150 straight points in FCS college football, which is fucking insane. What is happening? Look, I know I was higher on the Vikings than you, but I didn't have them looking like they got Broadway Joe at the quarterback spot. What do you make of this Viking team? Because now, they have to take on Montana State this week. And part of me is like, oh, they're just going to get fucked up. Right. But at the same time, I'm like, I know Cal Poly's no, awesome school right now, but that's a lot of fucking points they're putting up, man. That's still impressive. What Joby Mallory at the running back spot had 11 for 119. They also ran. I mean, they ran for a solid amount. They had multiple people with like 80 yards. They got Van Buren, the former Boise State running back. Could they perhaps give the Bobcats and Bozeman a game? And regardless, what do you make of the Vikings?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing, because you put up 91 a week ago and now 59 in conference, and it makes me think that maybe Montana State, like the real chance for Portland State is if they were to kind of get overlooked by Montana State, and I don't feel like putting up that many points in the last couple of weeks is going to let them overlook.
Very true. So, very true.
But I don't know if I should keep fading them though, because this is a team I was really, really down on, and they whooped that ass. That was a lock of mine.
Well, when you throw that into, like, they played Wyoming kind of good.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, I don't know. I mean, so that's all of the Big Sky stuff right there. I mean, right now, I think it doesn't change our opinion. Montana State's the clear cut one. The question is who do you have it to? Would it be Idaho? Would it be EW? The Eastern Washington Eagles, Portland State? I mean, I also think Sac State's still in the mix. Personally, I think that's a tough loss at the field, by a field goal. I know the score says otherwise, but it was pretty much right there. And I still think UC Davis could be a player. What do you make of the conference overall?
Yeah, I mean, definitely fighting for 2 on, because I think, like you said, Montana State's still up top. But I got to give the nod for number 2 to Idaho so far. Tough start to the schedule, and then they've been fighting through it. And I mean, at one point, up 17-0 on a Power 5 team. So definitely Idaho at 2, and then I'm probably going EW at 3. How can't you?
Yeah. Jumping over to the Missouri Valley, I do think it's the second best conference, or you could argue best conference, but they everyone was on bye for the most part this week, except for these 3 scores. Illinois State took down our boys Lindenwood. I made a mistake of taking Lindenwood in the points. I got cute. This was an emotional play. That's why you should have tailed me on this one. But Lindenwood, the penitentiary, gets beat down by Illinois State 48-17. Illinois State bouncing back with a nice win after that tough conference loss, or not rivalry loss, I should say. Then you have Missouri. I was shocked by this one. So hear me out here. This is why it's really hard for us to handicap, and not even handicap. It's hard for me to understand football when this happens. We just watched Utah Tech go to walk up Sky Dome, whatever the fuck it's called in Flagstaff, and drop 50 on Northern Arizona. So now they return. I believe this was at home, right? this wasn't on the road, right?
Missouri State was at home.
Okay, but still, they went on the road and dropped 50 the week before against Northern Arizona, who beats Montana. So now Utah Tech goes to Missouri, and they just get destroyed 59-14. What in the hell? I mean, either Missouri State's a lot better than I realize, or I just don't. I mean, I think we're right with fading Utah Tech, sort of. I mean, what the hell is going on here? What'd you make of this one?
Yeah, I mean, my honest handicap on this one is, or my breakdown, I guess, is I don't think Missouri State fell off as much as we thought they were going to with all the turnover. I mean, they did use the portal a lot to reload, and obviously the new coach, I'm forgetting his name right now, but he's not doing too bad, because I remember that Kansas game opening week. They hung around in that game for a little bit. Kansas didn't blow them away until kind of the second half, And then UT Martin, the Skyhawks, pretty damn good team.
Yeah.
Only beaten by 7. So I think Missouri State might be a little better than we were giving them credit for.
Yeah, Ryan Beard, the new head coach. And I mean, how about the quarterback play? Jacob Clark, 19 of 26 for 414 yards. If you have 19 completions for 414 yards, that means I question the secondary of Southern Utah, because that means they're getting like 30 yards a fucking catch. Oh my God, what an impressive performance. And that's the one the Valley needed. I feel like the Valley, you saw, Northern Iowa lose to Weber. I know Northern Iowa then went and beat Idaho State, but you saw Eastern Illinois beat Illinois State. You saw Indiana State just kind of get beat down by everybody. So I think that's one that the Valley needed. However, Western Illinois is in the Valley. They're the final year. Western Illinois. They went to Zion, Utah. What is it? Zion Stadium. I forget the name of this shit. But no, it's called Eccles Coliseum. Southern Utah, our Thunderbirds that we think can be pretty good. Now this was all tied at 17.5. This was a very lucky cover by us, but Southern Utah 37, Western Illinois 17. We get the Thunderbirds get a dub, and I think they're a good team, man. I think we saw them almost beat Arizona State. We saw them almost beat UC Davis. They make a statement win by 20 against Western Illinois. Moving forward, I think they have a big game this Saturday as they are hosting Central Arkansas. But what do you make of the Thunderbirds?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they pulled away in the second half, because I was getting a little worried about this one. This team, we both feel pretty good about them, and rough start to the season. But I mean, it's what you projected. It was a hell of a schedule to start. So I'm glad they got this one, pulled away, got a cover for us. But I'm very, very interested to see this game at home, mind you, against Central Arkansas. That's a good team. It's an interesting matchup between kind of contrasting styles. So I'm very tuned into that game. I'll be watching that one for sure.
Yeah. And look, I'm going to jump back to the UAC in a second, but CAA now. The CAA was, I think, really good, a really deep conference this year. I was shocked that Villanova, not only did they beat Rhode Island. No, I know it was at Nova. They beat Rhode Island by 26 points, which was a bit shocking. But the thing that was most shocking is they held Kasim Hill in this Rams offense to just 9 points. Absolutely. I was wrong on this, and I was shocked in the way that it went down. And I'm starting to really buy Villanova as a contender, not only to win the CAA, but as a real legit contender. The only thing I got to see is how will Nova be on the road. We'll learn a little bit this week as Nova heads to Albany to take on the god Reese Poffenberger. But I mean, this outcome was shocking to me. What'd you make of this one?
Yeah, I really expected this to be a closer game. I looked back at our preseason notes, and I did pick Nova to win this game. So, I'm not super surprised.
Flex, yeah.
but I thought, the +3, I was like, this seems like a game that's a, field goal or so game. But for Nova to go out there and wax them, man, I did not see that coming. So a very impressive win for them. And hopefully Rhodey gets on the right track next week.
The rushing attack by Villanova with Connor Watkins having over 100 yards at that's their quarterback. And then Io Durajaye with another. He only had 7 rushes for 103 yards. Get him the ball, and then you add in Barley. I mean, they have a really good, strong offense. I would say they're on the ground, and then the defense doing wonders. So watch out for the Wildcats as they continue to ride on in the CAA. Wildcats. William and Mary handled business against Maine. Glad to see the Tribe get back on track. 28-3 win against the Black Bears. Shocker for us, and I know we ate shit on this one bet wise. Richmond, hey, you survived, Richmond. You survived, but 20-19 over the likes of the Seawolves of Stony Brook. Russ Huseman, the head coach of I'm not sold on Richmond moving forward, even though they've been somewhat of a blue blood over the years. But hey, you found a way to get the win. So survive and advance in a way. But man, not super impressed by the Spiders there, as they easily could have lost that game. What'd you make of this one? That was a 13-point spread. Remember?
Yeah. Richmond, not impressed with them at all this year, especially offensively. That's the thing that really they don't seem to have figured out yet, is this new offense with all the turnover from last year. So not a very impressive look. A lock for mine that went way south. So I'm concerned with the Spiders here.
Yeah, and then I think the other big one in the CAA was Delaware. As a home dog, we were on. The Blue Hens get it done against New Hampshire, 29-25. 0 points scored in the fourth quarter of this game. Defense is locked down. They clamped down in the fourth quarter. But I mean, Delaware threw the ball for 336 yards, but it was really the ground game that I thought was the difference in this game. 165 yards on the ground compared to just 51 by New Hampshire. If anything, New Hampshire outscored them. Outgained them in the passing attack. But I mean, New Hampshire after the first quarter was up 12-0. You're thinking, oh shit, this is going to be over. Delaware scores 15, scores really 29 in the second and third to get that dub, 29-25 to move to 2-0 in the CAA. Well, beautiful part about the CAA is they start conference games right away. So you're a little deeper into the conference race. Right now, you got the Rhode Island Rams at 2-1 in CAA play. You got William and Mary 2-0 with wins against Maine and Campbell, and then Delaware 2-0, and then your other one is Elon, because Elon knocks off Campbell 28-24. As this one at half, I mean, Campbell just woke up too late. That Elon was up 21-3 at the half. Campbell scores 21 or just about 21 unanswered. I feel like at one point in this game, and they lose 28-24, but I took Campbell, ate shit here, and Elon is now 2-0 in conference. Watch out for the Phoenix because they're playing solid ball, man. And you look at what they got going with Matthew Dowling, who didn't have the greatest game, just 116 yards passing, but man, Jalen Hampton, the Elon running back, 33 rushes. First off, football is back, baby. You got a bell cow, give him the ball, 169 yards, 5.1 yards a rush, 4 rushing touchdowns for Hampton. Unbelievable. So what'd you make of this one? And what do you make of this race right now with those teams at the top? Tough loss for Rhode Island, but man, we're further along in the conference race here, knowing what we know now.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the race. I think somebody that maybe we undervalued a little bit might have been Delaware. I mean, I know we both had them in the upper half of the conference, but we thought it was going to take a little bit as the season went on. If you told me that Brosmer for New Hampshire threw for 387 yards and 2 touchdowns without a pick, and they lost the damn game, but look at the carries. New Hampshire couldn't even run the ball. Labe, 8 carries for 8 yards. I mean, that guy, he's a stud. So to see that out of him, that's insane. And then Brosmer only rushed 5 times, which is rare for him. So that's crazy for Delaware. Elon, by the way, they're a lot better than I thought they were going to be, and I think they are a player in this conference. I don't know about up towards the top, but potential playoff team for sure.
Yeah, and look, you still have Nova 1-0, Richmond 1-0. Mm-hmm. They're all still alive. You have Hampton and Albany haven't even played a CAA game yet, and maybe New Hampshire gets back in the mix. They're only 0-1. Stony Brook is 0-3 though. You can kiss that season goodbye. Other games, Albany, they played a MEAC school in Morgan State. Remember Morgan State, who did beat Richmond in week 1, but should have beat Akron in week 2. Albany wins in double overtime as just a quite wild game. Albany's passing game struggled. Our boy Reese Poffenberger struggled a little bit against that Morgan State defense. 10 of 23, 142 yards. Did have 2 touchdowns, but also added a pick. But that's a bad percentage for Poff. 10 of 23, that is. But they found a way to get it done. I still think Albany could be a player in this conference. They find a way to get the win, a much needed win, because I know that the road schedule has been tough for them. Monmouth lost to Lafayette. Yes. Maybe we weren't as bullish on Lafayette as we should have been. 28-20, a bit surprised by that outcome. Another one, Towson loses to Norfolk State. Look, I took Norfolk State. I didn't expect them to win on the money line against the Towson Tigers. And that rounds out, the CAA play there for the week. But Lafayette and Norfolk State scoring wins against the CAA might not be the greatest look for the conference. What do you make of those ones?
Yeah, I mean, Monmouth so far, they got a lot to figure out, man. It's been a rough start. I thought this was the bounce back spot. If this wasn't it, I don't know when it's coming. So really surprised on that one. Towson maybe looking ahead to New Hampshire a little bit and got caught sleeping. I mean, that was kind of the breakdown for me when I took Norfolk plus the points. I definitely did not expect an outright loss. So pretty surprising there. And as far as Albany, I'm surprised to see those passing numbers coming off of a bye week against Morgan State. Honestly, you kind of think they'd come in a little hotter. So you can't even really say maybe they were looking ahead to the Nova game because they were off a bye week. So interesting. Yeah,
Albany struggles, off the bye week. You know what it is they're probably chasing all that scattered ass there in Hawaii. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hawaii will take your mind off football. You know what I mean? Come back. Oh shit, we have a season. Let's talk a little bit. Let's jump down to the SoCon, which I love the SoCon, and I did cash in on Furman sticking it to Mercer 38-14. The Paladins proving they're still contenders for a natty. They needed that one. Mercer hasn't really looked the part all year, in my opinion. A lot of hype, hasn't looked the part. And shout out to Danny Rocco and VMI. Look, hasn't been the prettiest of outcomes, but 17-14 win against Wofford. Sign me up for the key debts. Getting it done as one of my favorite names, Colin Ironside, and the Keydets get it done. They also had Hunter Rice have 90 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Where'd you go on that one? Were you on VMI?
Oh, I was on VMI. I'm not going to lay points on the road with the team that just lost to Presbyterian. So
yeah.
And now Presbyterian and VMI back to back. I mean, that might be like one combined win from last year that they lost to consecutively. So that's pretty rough there.
Okay, now are you ready for my segment on my boys? Shout out to my guy Weehawk.
Get Weehawk in the chat. Where's he at?
I don't know. He needs to be here though, because look, a week ago, Charleston Southern lost by 1 score to William and Mary. 1 score to William and Mary. FCS playoff team, won multiple games in the playoffs last year. 1 score game, and they head into Kulawai. I don't know how to pronounce that shit, but Kulawai, to Bob Waters Field at EJ Whitmore Stadium. Take on my boys, the Catamounts. Are you buying in? Because holy shit, this was 42-7 at the half. Final score 77-21. The Catamounts almost put up 80 on the Charleston Southern team that limited William and Mary to just 15 points. Oh man, Cole Gonzalez threw for practically 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Was 299, I think. 14 of 16 though, only 2 incompletions the whole game. But guess what? They didn't need to throw the ball that much because they were running with great success. Desmond Reed had over 100 yards as well, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, the offense was firing. Corey Washington, 3 for 108. Everything was going right for the Catamounts as they get it done. 77-21. Dude, I know everyone's taking Furman to win this conference, and even myself took Furman, but I said Western Carolina is going to be second. I think they might be fucking first. I'm excited to see. I know they have the Citadel this week, so we won't learn anything most likely. But what do you make of these Catamounts?
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at the schedule and wondering what the hell that line's going to be. Pretty much unbettable, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Western Carolina, especially when you look at we'll get to them in a minute, I'm sure. But Samford looks like ass this year, so they're terrible. Mercer can't buy into them. Chattanooga a little inconsistent. So I think Western Carolina, undoubtedly, honestly, I mean, if you take away what happened last year, they look like the best team in this conference. It's just Furman. They were up there last year and they brought a lot back, so you got to give them the credit. But I think right now you're looking pretty dead balls on. So go get them, Weehawk. I'm in.
Let's go. And Chattanooga is one team though that scares me in this conference because I actually think you take out that first game of the year at North Alabama. Since then, they've looked solid. They beat Kennesaw. They smacked the Citadel, even though I guess that doesn't mean anything because everyone's doing that. And then they put it on Samford, 47-24. Nice road win. And Samford, I don't know what's happening with the Bulldogs there, but I can tell you one thing: Chattanooga looking pretty solid as Chase Artopois at the quarterback spot. Pretty damn good game. 21 of 26, 323 and a touchdown. I'm buying into Chattanooga being a dangerous player. Anytime Western Carolina gets them, anytime Furman gets them, I think they're going to be in that mix. And they're going to be a pain in the ass to deal with, essentially, and maybe even a sleeper to make the playoffs here. So shout out to them grabbing that win against Samford. The other game that happened to the Citadel, yeah, we were right. Buddy Pugh gets that dub. 31-10. South Carolina State out of the MEAC takes down the Citadel by 3 touchdowns. All right, let's jump on over to the UAC. We touched on some of this, right? The UAC, we hit on Southern Utah against Western Illinois. 20-point win. We hit on Utah Tech losing by 45 at Missouri State. But we have a couple other outcomes here. Central Arkansas, the Bears. I mean, 52 to 17 against Abilene Christian. So I don't know how Central Arkansas was that bad against. It's just maybe the gap is just that big against when they played North Dakota State, but I did not expect this big of a blowout here. I mean, I took Central Arkansas, but I did not expect this much domination heading into the fourth quarter. This was a 38-10 game. All right. 38-10 game. This was an ass whooping. How about the stat sheet here too for Central Arkansas as Derek Powell? Holy shit. 23 rushes, 256 yards, 11.1 yards a rush, 2 touchdowns. Unbelievable. He also had 3 for 25 in receiving as well. I mean, we were right on Central Arkansas, I think, but were you not taken back by this final score?
I mean, a little bit. I think that's a classic bounce back spot. I mean, Abilene, they're not a bad team that you really, let's go out there and wax them and right the ship. I mean, so you deserve credit for beating Abilene, but I also don't think they're towards the upper echelon. I think they're more middle to bottom middle of this pack in this conference. So a really good bounce back spot. What I kind of chalked Central Arkansas against North Dakota State up to is they're two teams that stylistically play a similar brand of football. It's just North Dakota State. I mean, they're known for those big ass linemen, just they're corn fed boys out there. So, Derek Powell, man, we talked about him in the preseason and this guy is he's lethal. It's unbelievable. If you get a chance to watch them, just watch their running back room. Darius Hale, Derek Powell, and Kylan James is like a do everything guy. This team's really, really fun to watch, and I'm excited to watch them going forward.
Yeah, me too. And they head to Zion to take on the Thunderbirds of Southern Utah this week. It's a fascinating game. North Alabama got beat down by UT Martin at the OVC. And by the way, as much as I think I took Gardner Webb to win and I still think Gardner Webb will be all right, even though they got blanked by ECU. Well, that's standard because sorry, I didn't mean to get into that, but UT Martin looking very good. Very, very good. They beat North Alabama at North Alabama 37-21. And this is one where halftime adjustments. If anything, North Alabama up 21-10 at the half. They go into the break, and UT Martin shuts them out the whole second half, made some nice adjustments, shut them out 27-0 in the second half. Shout out to the Skyhawks as they pick up a huge win, and they look kind of to me like the clear-cut team to beat in the OVC. So there is that as I search for my pilot drop that I just can't find. But staying in the UAC, Eastern Kentucky does beat OVC member Southeast Missouri State 41-38 in a game that was absolutely fucking crazy. This might have saved Eastern Kentucky's season, by the way, and it might have sent Southeast Missouri State season in the other direction as well. Because SEMO had a tough loss to Southern Illinois the week before, and now you have this one where, I mean, SEMO was in control of this game. Eastern Kentucky scores 17 points in the fourth to get this dub, and really had no business winning the game. I mean, they only had two, like they got severely outgained. Oh wait, no, I think actually no, they're rushing yards. I forgot, but they still had no business winning this game, even though their yardage actually was. I stand corrected. Their yardage was better, but this is one where I feel like SEMO had the game in the fourth quarter, and they didn't get it done. They choked, and Eastern Kentucky's got life. 41-38 last second field goal to win for the Colonels. I know we had EKU high up. Man, if they would have lost this one, talk about just a brutal beginning to their season, but they found a way to get it done. I think they got life in the UAC right now. What do you make of EKU?
Yeah, that was a huge win. I mean, we talked about it when we were breaking this game down going into the weekend. 2 0-3 teams that should be good teams, and it was a really like must-win spot for either one. I'm glad to see EKU get it done at home. Parker McKinney, good game, and also just shout out to the chat. I love reading it, like watching them talk about like all the games that happened this past weekend. And we got Georgetown and Rice and the Pet in Louisiana, Buffalo. This is what I'm talking about. This is what college football is all about. Shout out to these guys.
Yeah, shout out to Terry, Ryan, everybody in the chat. Folks, remember you can come join the chat as well. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Some other UAC results from the weekend. One of them kind of stunning to me was Tarleton only beating Southwest Baptist 27-13. I don't know if that really means anything. Maybe they were just asleep at the wheel, but it was a little closer than I thought that game would go. Austin P got the best of Stephen F. Austin, 22-20. That was a interesting game because Austin P after that season opener, I was like, I don't know about Austin P, but they've kind of woken up after that dominating performance against East Tennessee State. Watch out for the Governors as they go on the road and grab a huge win there. Let's move along to the Ivy League, where, I mean, Harvard, Brown giving us, shout out to the Ivy, just starting up play, giving us some classics. Harvard 34, Brown 31. I was off on my projection. I went back and forth, I think, on this, but I think I settled with laying the 14. I didn't bet this game personally, but Harvard stays on top, and Harvard plays Holy Cross this week. Buckle up, because you play. I understand Brown might be a little bit better than what we thought. Remember Brown, beat Bryant the week before. Maybe Brown's better than what we think, but you skate by. Princeton loses in overtime to the Bryant Bulldogs, who Brown beat the week before. Big win for Bryant. Cornell. I was watching a little bit of this game on my laptop at the hotel, and I went to the game in Laramie, or I went to tailgate. But this is one. Yale was dominating the first half. It's 14-0 to me. Like the entire time I was watching, I was like, "Fuck, man! I took the wrong side on Cornell. I went with Jamison Wang. He let me down." Not the case. All right, you can't fade Jamison Wang because 23-21, they storm back, get the win. Shout out to the Big Red for getting it done. That's a huge win against the Bulldogs of Yale to open up play. I mean, that's one of the bigger wins of the weekend, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree for sure. You can't keep a good Wang down, man. I'm all about this Cornell team. We both were fairly high on them going into the season this year, and they're proving it. I like this team. I think, looking at the first couple weeks, I mean, Yale losing that game to Cornell and then Princeton dropping the game. Both those teams were at home losing. So it's looking like, Harvard, Cornell, kind of looking like the teams that are starting out the gate, running to the finish line a little bit. So pretty interesting. Penn too, which I didn't want to mention them because we're going to get to them. So
yeah, Penn 37, Bucknell 21. Penn, I put up 37. I did not see against Bucknell's defense. We lost money there. Also fucking Dartmouth won 34-17 against Lehigh, stacking the Money Greens. Mountain Hawks not coming through for them. And then the shocker to me, I mean, the Georgetown Hoyas,
they're back, baby.
What the fuck? Just messing with me for the first couple weeks of the season. We thought they might be ass this year. They're 2-0. They could have been 3-0. We're buying it into this Hoya stock. And then they give us a true lemon. They lose 30-0 to Columbia. Oh my God. Just get it out of here. I don't want to talk about it. Shout out to the first week of the Ivy. All right, folks, want to tell you that before we get to a couple other conferences, I want to tell you the FCS college football experience is brought to you by VSiN. Yes. Sign up now, save 40% off football season special when you use the promo code SGP at VSiN. That's VSiN.com/subscribe, promo code SGP. Look, Sean and Ryan, Sports Gambling Podcast, hosts are in a contest going head to head with other VSiN shows. Once again, VSiN Network. If you haven't checked them out, check them out to see who sells the most subscriptions. And the winning show gets $1,000 Super Bowl future. And the best part is that Sean and Ryan are gonna cut you in on the prize if they win. So step one is go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Use that promo code SGP to sign up. Step two is go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/VSiN to submit your proof of purchase. If they win, you'll get a vote on what team to use, on the $1,000 future. And if it hits, you'll get an equal piece of the action. So go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Use that promo code SGP. Then hop on over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/VSiN to submit. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Look, I mean, stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 different users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app now, or visit HOFBets.com. Use that promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, we are back as we rattle off a couple other conferences. The Patriot League showing up. You know a team to watch out for?
Who's that?
Fordham. I was a skeptic, I should say, on Fordham with all the losses they had in the offseason. But I mean, even after week one, I was like, yeah, when Albany beat them down, I was like, this is a step back year for them. They'll be back next year, maybe. Nope. Then they go on the road, beat an FBS Buffalo, and then they whack out the Skyhawks of Stonehill 44-0. You know why I find this one shocking? I know Fordham's offense over the past couple of years could light it up. Even with the loss of Tim DeMorad, I was like, they'll probably get in a rhythm at some point. But holding Stonehill to 0 points stands out to me. Watch out for the Fordham Rams as they get it done. Holy Cross also beats the shit out of Colgate 47-7. Georgetown lays a lemon against Columbia, but Lafayette gets Monmouth. So, I mean, nice week for the Patriot in theory, with the exception of Georgetown and Bucknell against Penn. The SWAC, Alabama, was that Alabama State where the player punched the security officer in the face or slapped him in the face? Absolutely fantastic work by that player. So I'm curious the interaction. Do we really need to arrest him? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a great story. Anyway, Florida A&M beats Alabama State 23-10. A little concerned by that score. Prairie View, we were on this one. Bubba McDowell going on the road to Mississippi to beat down Alcorn State. Remember, Prairie View was the dog in that game. Shout out to them. We had the weekday Alabama A&M Pine Bluff game where A&M won, but they didn't cover. North Carolina Central beat the shit out of Mississippi Valley State. And I got to give it up to Hugh Jackson because Grambling, we were on Texas Southern. Grambling takes them down 35-23. Shout out to Grambling. In the NEC, there was a couple conference games. Sacred Heart 37, St. Francis 34. What is happening with St. Francis, PA? Stick a fork in them because they're getting their ass whooped left and right now. After showing a little promise out the gate, 37-24 or 37-34. Sacred Heart gets that dub, and then oh my God, the Vacuum Company. Dude, is Wagner going to win the NEC? Because I'm buying in. I'm buying in. They take down Merrimack 30-27. Steven Krajewski, former UConn Husky, getting it done.
They got Greg Schiano in their sights this week, man. It's on.
Unbelievable.
For real.
Also, in the MEAC, obviously I hit on North Carolina Central looking just a dominating performance. Delaware State actually covered. I was 42.5. They lost by 42 to Miami, Ohio, but shout out to Norfolk State beating Towson. Shout out to Morgan State, who, even though they lost to Albany, I'm kind of sold on Morgan State being a solid team. Mm-hmm. And Buddy Pugh takes down the Citadel 31-10. Pioneer League. We got the Pioneer League in the Southland, and then we're out of here. All right. Pioneer League, though, Butler, hope you tailed me on this. The Butler Bulldogs took down Stetson 28-18. And then shout out to the Red Foxes. I don't know how Maris did it. I was completely off on this. I thought Valpo would stick it to him. In overtime, the Red Foxes beat the Crusaders 36-30 in overtime. And then St. Thomas takes down Morehead State 35-28. The wagon that is St. Thomas. Surprised that your Toreros showed up and took down the Flyers of Dayton 40-25. I think that far trip must have done it. And then Davidson puts up 84 points on St. Andrews, 84-6. I don't know if any of those stand out to me. The one that still stands out to me is Butler. I think Butler is better than what we thought.
I agree. I think Butler's pretty good. One of the ones that stands out to me too is St. Tommy. They're struggling a little bit to start this season, so yeah. I'm curious to see where it goes. That's not an impressive win there. Yeah,
you're right. But a win is a win is a win. It's almost like Richmond beating Stony Brook 20-19 in the Southland. Oh, Texas A&M Commerce fans, you were right. Fucking there. You lose to Old Dominion 10-9. Almost got an FBS.
Man. They went for the 2. I
know. I love that. I love that decision. Shout out to you're all the way in Norfolk, Virginia. You're doing a bye game. Fuck it, go for the win. But you also had some shocking results because Southeast Louisiana, who a team that I thought could challenge for first place. Ugh. I think I even had them finishing above IDub.
We both did.
Well, that was a mistake by us because Houston Christian 34, Southeast Louisiana 19, and then my darlings, Lincoln, California, which is not in the Southland, but I just love the fact that they go on the road. They're the real road warriors here. Fuck a Mad Max. They lost. They got blanked by Lamar 38-0. Tough times. But come on, stay with it, Lincoln CA. I love what you're doing in the name of football. Nichols got destroyed by Tulane. No shame in that. They lost by 29 in New Orleans. And Incarnate Word put it on North American 63-3. I don't know if any of those stand out besides the Commerce game. Maybe Commerce could be a player in the South, and they seem to be improving super fast. That's our show, folks. I mean, what a fucking week. We got the week with Thursday. We'll have our week 5 preview and picks. We got some big time matchups that I alluded to earlier. I mean, how about Morgan State taking on Yale? I think Morgan State might be live in that game. Harvard, Holy Cross, Bryant, Rhode Island rivalry game. William and Mary heads to Elon. That's going to be interesting there. Youngstown State heading to Northern Iowa. And then you have the Dakotas. South Dakota at North Dakota State. North Dakota at South Dakota State. Those should be interesting. Villanova takes on Reese Poffenberger and Albany. Idaho at EW. Campbell at North Carolina Central. We could go on and on and on. There's a lot of shit that we like. So folks, check us out. Make sure you give Mike here a follow on X or Twitter at GCG_wins. Mike does great work as always. And folks, we appreciate you. So give us a follow. TCE, the FCS college football experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. I'm on Twitter at DColbyD. Give me a follow. Follow around, follow in frenzy. But subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/thecollegeexperience. Don't forget that I also host the FBS college football experience. Just dropped an episode with CJ Sullivan today. Check out that. And as always, also make sure you check out, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. And don't forget, up next, I will be hosting college basketball season previews, conference previews. We're getting into the thick of it, folks. So hop on over and check it out. The college basketball experience, as well as the Big 12 experience and the college baseball experience. But we're going live. I'm talking about a couple minutes here. College basketball, American East season preview. It's that time of year, folks. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast as well. And tonight we'll be dropping a college football episode at 8:30 Pacific. So do that. And get the SGPN app. It's free to download in the App Store or Google Play Store. All right, folks, until next time, this is the FCS college football experience week 4 reaction show. You better start thinking about yours, and we are out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the cameras. Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And you know what you're getting, cause the books we written with the gamers. Everybody's trying to stop this team, but we keep on knocking